Hey, folks, welcome to 3 at 3. 3 at 3 every business day. We try to bring you that unusual option activity. We have found it with our algorithms and our team. We have also searched Twitter and Reddit, the full fire hose of Twitter. That means every tweet that's out there, as well as Reddit. And we're reading through those. Actually, the machines are reading through those tweets because there's just too damn many of them. But we are finding what people are talking about, where there is unusual activity picking up in the underlying stock, options or futures, and then we present them to our subscribers. That's what you see on CNBC when we mention it, and that's what you're about to see right now. How about this one from last week? There you see on the 18th, that was Friday. Very strong, unusual buying in Plan. That's Anaplan. PLAN. They were buying the May 50 calls, paying about $3.70 for those. The stock gets a takeover bid from Tomo Bravo. And you know what it does? It does that. Sends those $14.56 in the money. Why is that? Well, because, of course, the right to buy it at 50, when it's trading at 64.56, is worth the difference between 50 and 64.56. In other words, $14.56. So you tripled your money on the trade. That is a great way to start. And we're certainly appreciative of all of you for pointing this out, that this is a nice way to start for all of us. Also, Pete's Marquetta. This one, symbol MQ, traded up to almost $12, I believe. It's back down now to the entry. But again, it is sort of pointing to the idea that when Pete talked about it, it was 1088. Look it up, see where it went to. And of course, you could profit mightily from following along with Pete on that trade or this one, Schlumberger, SLB. Last week, stock was $39.50. It was higher by 4.3%. Today, stock trades to 41.07. So from 39.50 to 41.07, let's call it $1.50. That's pretty nice, especially if you own at the money or in the money calls and now are selling upside calls against it. What I'll call your attention to is also these were 42.50 calls, out of the money calls. But again, as you know, I like doing one-to-one spreads, buying at the money, selling out of the money against it, one-to-one. As long as you maintain that one-to-one, you do not have additional risk in your trading. And instead, you cut down on time decay, which is critical in an option that expires in just 1 month, like these options, as well as you're cutting down on the amount of capital you have to outlay when you put the position on. Instead of paying, for instance, $1.50 for the calls, you could buy a lower strike call, sell the higher strike, and perhaps put less money on and ask the stock to do significantly less for you to make money. That's the way we like to move the odds into our favor. CryptoConvo, yep, posting a lot of good stuff on CryptoConvo. Encourage you to check it out. CryptoConvo.com. That's CRYPTO Convo, CONVO.com, with yours truly. You can check out those longer format interviews. They're not long. They're not Joe Rogan long. And I'm not saying I'm Joe Rogan. I love Joe. But I'm saying that these are conversations that you can digest rather quickly, probably 15 to 25 minutes in length, and with some real leaders in the crypto space. All right, let's get to it. Today's unusual option activity is AMD. First one I did today, AMD March 120s. The stock was 116. They were buying upside calls at the 120 strike. You see they bought them Friday. They're buying them again today. Those are big volumes, folks. Whenever you see 20,000 plus, every option, of course, is for 100 shares of stock. So when you see 20,000, that's 2 million share equivalent. I want to follow that trade. You have to decide if you want to follow that trade. And of course, there will be some of you that will elect to sell puts naked, put spreads, calls, or call spreads. Again, you have to decide how to trade it. I can't pull that trigger for you, but I can tell you I like AMD in the action, but these options expire this week. So be incredibly vigilant about cutting losses, because that does happen, or taking profits, which hopefully does happen as well. Let's move on to number two. Number two trade today is Camco, and this stock is a monster. Beginning of February, the stock was 19, maybe even 18 and change. Today, it's pushing 30. In fact, it hit a new 52-week high when I mentioned it on the show today. You see the volume in there at the April 35 strikes. Those are $5 above the high that it hit today. Big volume Friday, big volume again today. There's Camco. What are they? I think most of you know it's a uranium play. And look at that, under 20 bucks beginning of February. There you see it today, 29.02, and a high on the day, a new 52-week high, $30. Bang. Love that. And again, these are options, folks, that are expiring in 1 month. So be very vigilant. Stuff that's out there 3 months, 6 months into the future, things like Anaplan, for instance. You can wait. You don't have to pull the trigger as fast. On these, you have to be willing to cut losses or take profits relatively quickly. Now, one of the ways that I like to take profits is to sell an upside call against the calls that I own. If these were puts, it would be reversed. I'd own an at-the-money put, and I would sell a put underneath it. But these are call options. Bets that it goes from the lower left to the upper right, just like you see on this chart. And why would it do that? Well, Germany's keeping open 6 nukes that they were going to shut down. That's a lot of demand for uranium. You don't think the rest of the world wants uranium with what's going on in Ukraine, which, by the way, is one of the centers of uranium on the planet. It's not just that, though. A lot of people were shutting down their nukes because they were letting Russia sell them energy. Russia will probably not be selling as many countries energy, which will put further demand on uranium. There you go. Third and final today is Nike NKE. On our unusual activity, we had it last week with 135 calls, and the stock popped over 130 from 125. Then it pulls back today to 129 and change, I think, and they're buying 135s and 140s, both. They're buying both of those. What do you need to know? Earnings are tonight. So this is deep end of the pool. If you've never traded unusual activity tonight, do yourself a favor and watch. Do not trade. Why do I say that? Because this is something or nothing tonight. It's not even a Friday trade, even though, of course, these expire on Friday. This is something or nothing. So if you're somebody who's like me, been trading for 40 years, then maybe, and you don't have to have 40 years experience, but you do have to have, more than a couple months experience to know how fast you have to be to take profits or cut losses here. Because when this one pops, it may pop in the after hours. If you buy a 130 call, for instance, and it pops in the after hours, I will be selling stock against those calls. Why would I do that? Well, because I want to lock in profits, and options don't trade in the after hours, but stocks do. So I'm just saying, take a look, understand it, watch Scott Wapner on Overtime tonight and see what people are saying. But Nike, March 140s, bang, got to be paying attention here, folks. 135s and 140s, both heavy activity today. They're buying the 130s as well. But again, you want to mitigate the amount of money you're putting on the table and mitigate time decay, which is enormous in a trade like this. There, I hope I've given you enough warnings that you pay attention and do not trade this one unless you have some experience in trading expiring options. All right. If you'd like to learn about trading expiring options, if you'd like to learn about spreads like bull call spreads, bear put spreads, vertical spreads of all kinds, or maybe butterflies, condors, iron condors, all that kind of stuff. You don't need to know all of them, but the better you understand how they work, the better you'll be in a position to make money when you trade. The better position you'll be in to cut the amount of money at risk, because every trade involves risk. I will always say that to you because that's something you need to understand, that there is no free lunch. We might have unusual activity. It may pay off very quickly like Anaplan did, but nonetheless, you need to understand there's always a risk in investing, and you need to mitigate that to the best of your ability. Hey, folks, thanks for joining me today. Hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow with our 60-second video early in the morning. Bang! See you then.